In this video, we'll talk about what it truly means to have a relationship with God. We'll look at the lives of two men, Abraham and Lot. One became a friend of God. The other ended up alone in a cave. God spoke to Abraham. The Lord had said to Abram, "Go from your country, your people, and your father's household to the land I will show you. I will make you into a great nation, and I will bless you. I will make your name great, and you will be a blessing. I will bless those who bless you, and whoever curses you I will curse, and all peoples on earth will be blessed through you." So Abram went, as the Lord had told him, and Lot went with him. Abram was 75 years old when he set out from Haran. He took his wife Sarai, his nephew Lot, all the possessions they had accumulated and the people they had acquired in Haran, and they set out for the land of Canaan, and they arrived there. Abram traveled through the land as far as the site of the great tree of Moreh at Shechem. At that time, the Canaanites were in the land. The Lord appeared to Abram and said, "To your offspring I will give this land." So he built an altar there to the Lord, who had appeared to him. From there he went on toward the hills east of Bethel and pitched his tent, with Bethel on the west and Ai on the east. There he built an altar to the Lord and called on the name of the Lord. And Abraham obeyed. He left, and his nephew Lot went with him. Over time, a conflict arose between the herdsmen of Lot and Abraham. Abraham responded generously and let Lot choose his land. Lot chose what looked best to him. He looked at the green, fertile land and settled near Sodom. And what about Abraham? At every stage of life, he built an altar to God. He talked to God. He lived a life of prayer. Abraham was a man of prayer. And Lot, we never see him praying. He chose the city, but not God. And he ended up in captivity. Later, in destruction. And Abraham had to intercede for him again. Let's compare their lives. Abraham built an altar. Lot pitched a tent. Abraham worshipped God. Lot sought comfort. Abraham lived for God. Lot lived for himself. Abraham became the father of faith. Lot lost his family. Abraham taught his household. Lot's daughters learned from Sodom. Who are you more like, Abraham or Lot? Abraham taught his household. Even his servants knew how to pray. Remember how his servant prayed when choosing a wife for Isaac? But Lot, he never taught his family to pray, and in the end, he lost them. His wife looked back toward Sodom, and his daughters did something horrible. Their children became enemies of God's people. Lot died in a cave, without legacy, without honor. Now look at yourself. Is there fire on your altar? Do you pray every day? Do you teach your children to seek God? If not, rebuild your altar. Make a decision. Choose a specific time when you will meet with God every day. Make it a habit. Build your altar. Pray. Walk with God. I once loved God and served Him passionately. But there came a time when I didn't want to do anything anymore. I was burned out. My faith dimmed. I lost my sense of purpose. One day I ran into a young guy from my church. We talked, and before leaving, he handed me a sermon titled Personal Relationship with God. Honestly, I took it with skepticism, just to be polite. But later, out of boredom, I started listening, and something happened. A small stream of life, of faith began to flow into my heart. I started doing the simple things that message taught, spending time with God, talking to Him honestly. And God began to fill me. He reignited my heart. He stirred me to share His love with others. And as I obeyed, miracles began to happen. People repented. People were set free. People came to Christ. Spending daily time with God became my new foundation. I returned to church, not just as a member, but as someone who draws others to Jesus. In just 6 months, I saw more fruit than in all the previous years of my Christian life. And that fruit remained. These weren't just emotional decisions. It became a church of spiritual connection. I taught my disciples to meet with God personally. Each of us spent time with God, and in our meetings, we'd share what He was saying to us. That's when real Christian life and ministry began for me. And I urge you, just like Abraham, build your altar of personal relationship with God. Every day, offer the sacrifice of time with Him. Your life and ministry will be transformed. Abraham was called a friend of God because he walked with Him, lived for Him, served Him, loved Him. Be like Abraham. Walk with God. Pray. Teach your children. Let your life become an altar from which the incense of prayer rises to heaven. Subscribe to hear the next steps in walking with God. Like and share this video with someone who needs to rebuild their prayer life. Be someone who burns for God every single day.